Number three, Clara. She's a senior developer living in LA and in her mid 40s, aiming for roles in the 200,000 plus salary range. So this person, she has been in working already for 2 decades or more in this space, and has tons of experience. In fact, has done all sorts of roles in software engineering, developing apps, developing programs, developing different things for different companies. Most recently, for the past, I think it was 5 years, 3 or 5 years, I don't remember, let's say 3 years, she has been creating software using Python. Interestingly, software that processes data, lots of Excel, lots of CSV files using Python in the medical space. In fact, a lot of our members, I don't know the exact percentage, but a lot of our members I speak with work in the medical space, supporting companies, whether it's hospitals or pharmaceuticals or other medical space related, like medical equipment companies, procurement companies, or supply chain companies, and so on. Anyway, so she's been creating all this software using Python, specifically pandas and other tools to process lots of data. So lots of Python experience. And recently has done 4 of our machine learning courses: machine learning A to Z, machine learning level 1, machine learning level 2, machine learning level 3. And she wants to get into the space of machine learning and AI. Why? The reason is because Clara is in her mid 40s. She predicts that she'll be in the workforce for at least another 15 years. And she can see that the current role that she's doing is while pays well and she's very good at it, it might not be as relevant in the future. It's not a role that, as we discussed with Clara, it's not a role that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. She's not learning new skills in the role that will open up more doors for her in the future, that will keep her growing with the growing trends in technology. She's very selective about applications. In fact, she left her job a few months ago to focus specifically on studying and preparing for the new role. She's not in a rush. She wants to take things slowly, and basically goes mostly through her network, not applying to thousands of jobs through LinkedIn and so on. Mostly goes through her networks, very selective. So that's her goal, to get into this space. And the interesting thing, the pain point that Clara has, is she's finding there are thousands, literally thousands of job applicants per job. And even at her level of experience, expertise, and background, and all these projects that she's done, she's finding it difficult to break in and to land the job that she's looking for.
Wow, yeah, interesting story. Why do you think that is? Why do you think she's having trouble?
That's a good question. I think it's probably related to this phenomena where there's lots of jobs, but there's also lots of applicants, and it's really hard to stand out. I think it's been the same since for the past 10 years, when there's lots of people applying through the direct means of just submitting your resume, and all of them get pre-screened with AI tools. And it just, like, if the hiring manager had a conversation with Clara directly, like magically, then they would realize she's amazing and they would hire her in a heartbeat. But because it's really hard to get in front of people this direct way, I think that's the problem. And I think Clara's got the right idea of going through connections and going through networking to get in front of the people quicker. What do you think?
Networking, ideally in person, is, I think, easily the best way to get your professional opportunities. Not everyone can do that. Not everyone is, you might have a family situation or just where you are geographically. If you want to get a job, in data science or AI, maybe there aren't, in-person things you can be doing. Remote's really the only option. And there are probably then, in that kind of scenario, still things like superdatascience.com, these kinds of platforms where you can get involved, you can do collaborative projects together, get to know people. I mean, that kind of gives you that kind of collegial feeling. Like you'll remember, the projects you've worked on, the people you've been with, their expertises, and that's something like working with someone in an office and understanding what they can do, and maybe they'll open a door for you some years from now. And
Mm.
if so the more you do that, the more that you're working with people online if you have to, but ideally
Mhm.
you are meeting, you meeting people in person. There's something about, like a lot of like in the US, there's something called meetup.com.
Mhm.
And with meetup.com, you can in, any major city in the US or Canada, you can find meetups for whatever you're interested in. It's not
Yeah.
specific to tech. I'm sure there's like, microwave
Chefs.
microwave reprogramming chefs meetup. Um, there's all kinds of specific things out there. But, in data science in particular, there's lots of different of these kinds of meetups, and you go and you could be at any stage. You could be just getting started. You could be thinking about it. Maybe you're like a medical doctor and you're tired of just, dealing with one human at a time, and you have a vision for some kind of like medical AI system that you want to build, to like scale up your impact. And so you can start going to these meetups and meeting people and decide, okay, well, maybe like how can I take further steps into this? Should I be joining a platform like superdatascience.com or like do a master's in person at a local university? So you could be, at that very early stage where you're just exploring if a career in data science or AI is something you're interested in, all the way through to being, a big expert. You might participate in giving the talks if you're an expert. Often these meetups have that. It could be based around one or two speakers, talking about real world projects or some open source library they're developing. But around these, so you learn stuff from the speakers, but around these you also have lots of social interaction. There's drinks at a lot of these. Pizza is often the like food that they
Mhm.
order. Um, and, sometimes it's sponsored by some local data science or AI company, or maybe there's like some small fee, like $5 or $10 that you pitch in to be able to, buy the pizza and the beer or whatever. And yeah, it's in those social interactions that you meet people, and some people just, you click with them and you chat with them more, you see them there a few times, and yeah, you might find your next job, you might find your romantic partner, you might find your best friend.
Mhm.
You never know.
Yeah.
In a way that I think, those kinds of things, those kinds of connections, they don't. It's a little bit harder to make them online, but it can happen.